نريد لبنان ملتقى وفاق عربي.
Good afternoon. You're watching the English newscast here on Future Television. I'm Linda Tamim, and these are today's headlines. Dozens of injured civilians are evacuated from East Aleppo as part of a ceasefire expected to last 3 days. Qatar calls for an emergency Arab League meeting to discuss the situation in Aleppo. And Parliament Speaker Nabih Berri launches a mobile phone app that allows the public to track legislative proposals in Lebanon's parliaments. Militias loyal to Syrian President Bashar al-Assad have reportedly killed at least one person and injured more while firing on a convoy of injured evacuees from the remaining rebel-held pockets of East Aleppo. Dozens of injured civilians were evacuated this afternoon as part of a ceasefire expected to last 3 days and result in the transfer of thousands of civilians and fighters from the embattled territory. More details in this report.
New hope in Aleppo as a fragile truce is propped up. An evacuation deal back on track Thursday morning after falling to pieces the day before. Syrian rebels have begun leaving the city, according to officials from both sides. The Red Cross says it's been asked to assist and is standing ready to help. The initial ceasefire, brokered by Russia and Turkey, collapsed on Wednesday. Evacuation buses waited empty as airstrikes and heavy shelling hit the city. Both sides accusing each other of breaching the deal. The gunfire has now fallen silent as rebel fighters complied with fresh demands. They say they'll allow the evacuation of wounded from 2 rebel-besieged villages in exchange for their safe departure from eastern Aleppo. The exodus would end years of fighting in the divided city, handing President Bashar al-Assad his biggest victory in more than 5 years of war. But not until the buses are loaded and the rebels are gone will the end of the battle for Aleppo be in sight.
Qatar has called for an emergency Arab League meeting to discuss the situation in Aleppo, where Syrian government and allied forces were making a final push to capture the city from rebels. Qatar is a main supporter of rebels who have been fighting to overthrow Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, who is backed by Russia and Iran. The Qatar-based satellite channel said the request was made for a meeting at the level of representatives to the Cairo-based Arab League, but gave no further information. Alongside the traditional glühwein wine and sausages on offer at a Christmas market in small-town Bavaria, visitors could also try more exotic fare, falafel and kibbeh, served by a family of refugees from the Syrian war. As hostility towards immigrants has increased since a record 890,000 arrived in Germany last year, the participation of the Balish family in a distinctly German tradition was welcomed by many as a sign of integration. Have a look.
أنا بدي الناس تفهم بالضبط المشاعر الحقيقية للناس اللي عايشين بسوريا واللي عايشين برات سوريا من السوريين.
Now for some news in Lebanon. A mobile phone app that allows the public to track legislative proposals in Lebanon's parliament should soon be available. Parliament Speaker Nabih Berri launched the app during a ceremony at his Ainatine residence under the title Legislative Tracking System in Parliament and the Parliamentary Mobile Application, and said the app will increase transparency. The Speaker explained that the app will allow each lawmaker to access email and get notified of his tasks. The launching ceremony was attended by senior Lebanese and European officials. For her part, EU Ambassador to Lebanon, Christina Lassen, said she hopes the Lebanese parliament resumes its normal tasks and contributes to democracy in Lebanon. She said the new project aims to help parliament modernize its workflow and benefit from the latest technologies. Well, Speaker Nabih Berri himself has called for the adoption of a proportional vote law in the country's upcoming parliamentary elections. Politicians are at odds over an alternative electoral law to govern next year's parliamentary elections. Lebanese parties are divided between adopting a proportional vote law or a hybrid electoral law that includes aspects of the proportional and winner-take-all systems. FPM delegations have been visiting various factions to propose separating the talks over a new electoral law from the process of cabinet formation. Lebanon's judiciary has charged 5 Syrians with belonging to Daesh and orchestrating attacks against the Lebanese army. Military investigative judge Fadi Sawan accused in his first indictment Nidal Yassin, who is in custody, and fugitive Maher Ali with funding Daesh. Yassin reportedly received money from a European country and gave Ali the funds, who in turn transferred the amount to the militant organization in Syria. In his second indictment, the judge accused 3 brothers of working at the behest of Daesh and conducting terror attacks in the northeastern border town of Arsal. Coming up next, Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe welcomes Russian President Vladimir Putin in his hot spring hometown to seek progress on a territorial role. More details after the break. Welcome back. Russia and Japan are due to meet over a territorial dispute that has prevented the two countries from signing a peace treaty after World War II. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was due to host Vladimir Putin on the Russian leader's first official visit to a G7 country since Russia's 2014 annexation of Crimea at a hot spring in his ancestral city of Nagato. There are hopes of achieving a breakthrough over the territory off Japan's northern coast seized by Soviet troops in 1945. The 4 islands are known as the Southern Kurils in Russia and the Northern Territories in Japan, and the dispute has been a thorn in relations for more than 7 decades. Despite months of preparation, the outlook is not good, with both sides recently damping down expectations of major progress. Dozens of Afghans deported from Germany have arrived in Kabul, the first group of rejected asylum seekers to return home under an agreement reached between the two countries earlier this year. The 38 men have returned to a country torn by war and rocked by a Taliban insurgency. Eve Johnson reports.
Rejected by Germany, 38 Afghan asylum seekers on Thursday flying home to new uncertainty. It's Berlin's first group deportation of refugees from the war-torn country, following a deal struck with Kabul earlier this year. The Afghan government says it will get the refugees back to their home provinces if those areas are safe.
It was early morning and I was sleeping when 4 policemen came to my home and arrested me. They transferred me to a prison and then from there took me to the Frankfurt airport. They didn't even want me to make a phone call.
Critics of the deportation plan say that much of Afghanistan isn't safe and that those who return could face punishment. Afghanistan is in the middle of a bloody Taliban insurgency, the number of civilian casualties soaring to record highs.
I lost everything because I went to Europe. Everyone loves their country. I also love my country, but what can I do here? Am I supposed to join the Taliban or Islamic State?
Afghans make up the second biggest group of asylum seekers in Germany, which is struggling to cope with more than 1 million migrants who have arrived in the past 2 years alone.
Colombia's FARC rebels have expelled 5 commanders for refusing to demobilize and join a peace process with the government aimed at ending more than 5 decades of war. Guerrilla leadership said the 5 commanders include 1 former participant in 4-year-long peace talks in Cuba. Colombian Defense Minister Luis Carlos Villegas said the dissenting commanders and their followers would be pursued in the interests of protecting the peace process. Separately, the Colombian government has reportedly pardoned at least 110 FARC rebels as part of the peace deal. Yahoo warns it has uncovered yet another massive cyber attack, saying data from more than 1 billion user accounts was compromised in August of 2013, making it the largest breach in history. The number of affected accounts was double the scope of an attack in 2014 that the internet company disclosed in September, but Yahoo said it believed the new incident was likely distinct from the first one. The company says it has not been able to identify the intrusion associated with the theft. Yahoo said the stolen user account information may have included names, email addresses, telephone numbers, dates of birth, hashed passwords, and in some cases, encrypted or unencrypted security questions and answers. Payment card data and bank account information, however, were not stored in the system believed to be affected. Rupert Murdoch's 21st Century Fox says it has agreed to buy European pay TV firm Sky $14.6 billion, sticking to its earlier offer despite complaints from some investors. Fox said it would pursue a scheme of arrangement, meaning it would need the backing of 75% of Sky's independent shareholders who vote to secure a deal that values Sky at £18.5 billion in total.
It's official, 21st Century Fox is bidding for Sky. Rupert Murdoch's firm tabling a firm cash offer that values the British broadcaster at nearly £11 a share. It wants to snap up the 61% of Sky it doesn't already own, but plenty of hurdles lie between here and success. Major pension funds, which own large chunks of Sky shares, have already sounded a warning. 75% of independent shareholders, including Standard Life and Royal London, will have to okay the takeover. But analysts at Citibank are calling it a lowball bid. Regulators also lurking. Victory would give Murdoch control of a pay TV network with 22 million customers spanning the UK, Ireland, Austria, Germany and Italy. Some politicians fear that would give him too much control over the media, but the mogul's likely to prove determined. A similar bid failed in 2011 after Murdoch's papers became embroiled in a row over phone hacking. This time some investors say he'll want to win no matter what the cost.
This marks the end of our bulletin for today. Now for a reminder of our headlines. Dozens of injured civilians are evacuated from East Aleppo as part of a ceasefire expected to last 3 days. Qatar calls for an emergency Arab League meeting to discuss the situation in Aleppo. And Parliament Speaker Nabi Habiri launches a mobile phone app that allows the public to track legislative proposals in Lebanon's parliament. That's it from me and the English news team here at Future Television. Catch us tomorrow again for more updates. Take care till then.
نريد لبنان ملتقى وفاق عربي